Hello, everybody, and welcome to In the Doll World. I'm your host, Georgette Taylor, and as always, I'm so excited to bring you amazing guests to the show. And today is no exception. We have the talented Cassie Jenkins. She is the creator of the amazing Instagram account called Dolls on the Scene, in which she explores the passion for doll collecting, her dioramas, her unboxing videos, and her ever so popular, which I absolutely love, twinning segments where she showcases herself and her dolls in matching outfits. It is so cool. I just love that. And I'm so excited for you to talk about how that came about. But welcome to the show, Cassie.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I've really been looking forward to this and I'm excited to talk to you today.
I'm excited to talk to you too. I think you have a really great background, diverse background. And I just really would like you to share a little bit more about yourself, where you come from, and also just tell a little bit about your journey into the world of doll collecting and what sparked your interest in the hobby in general.
Yes, absolutely. So, California native, born and raised, and I've lived different places all over the US, but currently I am in Los Angeles. So, a mother of two girls, they're 8 and 10, and my wonderful husband who supports my hobby.
That's important always.
Yeah, it is. It's so important. And I would say, yeah, so I have a corporate job that I do during the day. So work in corporate e-commerce. But when I'm not working in between my breaks, in between meetings and in the evenings and weekends is where I really lean into this doll hobby. And so I would say it came about as a 4-year-old. I have a twin brother, and I feel like my grandmother maybe gave us our first dolls, and they were like roller skating dolls. He got the Ken, I got the Barbie, and from then on, I was smitten. Went through some doll therapy when my parents got divorced. Went through some
Oh,
counseling,
okay. Mm-hmm.
and it was a tough time. But I remember the counselor had a dollhouse and she just let me play. And it was just an escape for me. And my mom saw that I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed it. And she's been such a huge supporter as well. So she kept all of my dolls over
Yeah,
the
I read
years.
that.
When I went
Mm-hmm.
out to college, she kept them. And she said, okay, if you ever have girls, and she was open, maybe if you have a son, maybe he'll be into it
Right.
too. But she
Mm-hmm.
always hoped that in some form or fashion I would come back to dolls, and I sure did. So she had sent them to me, I feel like a few years before the pandemic when my girls were younger, and I would just do stuff on the side. I would dress them. That was my favorite thing. I studied fashion design, and I would just dress them, and I would have a style lineup. I'd be up at probably 2 o'clock in the morning when the kids
Wow.
are asleep, and I would just dress them up and take pictures and just send them to my mom. And she said, "You really should." She called it, put it online, like do something with it. And I was like, oh no,
Nice.
I'm not a photographer. I don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. All the excuses. And then it really took a few years for the pandemic when I had more flexibility. I had taken a pause from my job and doing a little bit of, virtual learning with the girls when they were
Right.
done.
Mm-hmm.
My husband too, he was like, well, why don't you just start? I had a regular Instagram just with me, family stuff,
Okay.
fashion.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, why don't you start an account? So I finally did. And Dolls on the Scene, the name came from the idea of I like acting and entertaining. I would say I'm an ambivert. I am an introvert, but also an extrovert. So I feel like with the dolls, I've been able to bring out that outgoing side of me. And so I thought, oh, I'll do little stories. And I haven't gotten there just yet, but that's the beautiful thing about having this account and a hobby. It goes through different iterations, right? So I
Yeah,
could do
that's
that,
true.
so I'll do little snippets of things. And so I started that in April 2020, Dolls on the Scene account. And just little by little, I would show my husband, he's an artist, he's an illustrator. So I would show him
Oh,
little
nice.
things like, what does this look like? How is this laid out? What are the colors? And he would just say, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just post what you
Mm,
like. He would give me little tips, but also say, if you like it, post it.
that's
And you're,
great.
and that was such an encouragement to me. Your community will grow. So I really tried not to fixate, and I still do. I try not to fixate. It's nice when people like your stuff and give
Mm-hmm.
you a heart and give you
Right.
comments. But I also have to go back. I always have to go back to, if I like it, I post it. It's a part of me, and not get too caught up in all the analytics, which is tricky to do. I think
Tricky
it's
to
a fine
do.
balance. You want to see what are people
True.
liking. I want to
Yeah.
do more of that, but I also
Mm-hmm.
want to just bring my unapologetic, authentic self as well. So I've kind of stuck with it and really enjoy it. And the funny part about the twinning is Tanya, Miss Tanya from at Grandma Gets Real, who so many in the doll community know and love. She started this challenge a couple years ago. And so I was doing a little twinning on the side. I would find outfits and things to match. But she started a challenge and that really pushed me. Twinning is winning with grandma hashtag. And then I just started like, let me do some reels. Let me just show my
Yeah,
personality in the outfits. And I
that's so
kind of
cool.
haven't stopped from there. Yeah.
That is so cool. I love it. And I really love the encouragement that your husband gave you, and I think everybody needs that encouragement of not just thinking about being perfect, because that stops so many people from
Yeah.
being, from just doing what it is that they love. And the fact that he said, don't worry about it, just do what you love, and
Mm-hmm.
people will follow, people
Yes.
will just gravitate to what it is that you do. And I think you do
Right.
that so well. And
Thank
I
you.
kind of I kind of understand that, because every time I'm always stressing out too about
Mm-hmm.
the show, what it should be. Oh my gosh, you're gonna monetize, you're gonna do all of these things, and it's just like, I
Yes.
just love being able to showcase people like you, who have this talent or this desire to collect and showcase dolls, and
Right.
that's what I love to do. So I'm just gonna keep doing that. So
Yes.
kudos to him for just giving you that's such great advice that he gave you.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah. So I heard, I know
Absolutely.
you said you incorporate, and I know you said you dabbled in fashion. So I do know you did say you wanted to be a fashion designer for Mattel. So, how did you want to incorporate it, and why didn't you pursue that arena?
Yeah. What a
Since you
great
love dolls
question.
so much, yes.
Yes, what a great, ever since I was little, I would make, we didn't always have the resources, but my mom really pushed me to create. And so I had a great aunt who was a seamstress and she
Mm-hmm.
taught me how to sew when I was 10. And so I would
Nice.
do a mix of things, learn how to sew, but also just take a sock and just cut up a sock and make some things, right? And I just thought my dolls would be on a runway with that. So I think as I went through school, got my degree in fashion design, I started to realize I think I like more of I appreciate all sides of fashion, but I think I'll lean more into the business side. But I think I have a good mix of kind of the right brain and left brain, kind of
Mm-hmm.
the analytical and the creative side. So it'll come back. I still feel like there's threads of it in some of the
Mm-hmm.
things that I do. But yeah, that was my dream. I thought, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. So I've been able to do some still work in fashion in some capacity, but yeah,
Yeah,
still a
that's
big
good.
fan of the brand.
Yeah, that's really good. So how do
Yeah.
you go about selecting your dolls that you add to your collection? Is it like, oh, I just find something and I'm like, oh, I like that, or do you go out specifically thinking I'm going to look for this?
Yes, I try to, it's tricky too. The struggle is real in terms of like sustainability. It's such a tricky dance. So I do a mix of things. I will do new. I've got some new dolls behind me. Got my mini me. So I will kind of go after. I do like to support Black owned, female
Mm-hmm.
owned brands, just because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see a lot of that when I was younger, growing up in the 80s and 90s. So I support those brands and want to support more as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone's watching, like holler at me. I want to make sure that I can support your brand. But so that's a mix. And then also just could be like some of the Barbie signature dolls that are kind of the historical figures that are super
Right.
important.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the Barbie movie coming out,
Yes.
I
Mm-hmm.
have to be intentional for me, right?
Okay.
Everyone can kind of do their own thing, that I'm not buying everything, but maybe just the things that speak to me, whether it's like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
really like that pink and white gingham dress. I could see myself using that in other, with other dolls. So I think it's a good mix of the women owned, Black owned brands.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Yeah,
just
that's good.
a lot of the fashion. I feel like I'm often drawn to the fashion before the actual doll. I'm seeing a lot more like natural hair, dolls. So I would say I like to diversify my collection. So I've got
Mm-hmm.
lots of different, dolls and skin tone and hair type. So I think it's just if they just have a certain essence, and
Yeah.
my husband
Mm-hmm.
also will text me. He'll tell me about a collection coming out. What do you think about this doll? And I'll go back and forth with him sometimes. Well, what do you think? I won't always say that I stick to a budget, I'll be honest. Um
what doll collector does? Come on. It just
exactly.
doesn't work that way.
You like what you like. You like what you like. So I try to do I do that with my own clothes. Okay, if I'm bringing some things in, I might need to let some
Some
things
things
go.
go. Yeah.
Some things
Mm-hmm.
go. So I would say
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of open and fluid in some ways in terms of kind of what I gravitate
And did you
to.
think, okay,
Hmm.
okay, very
Yeah.
cool. Do you let your daughters help you pick out dolls?
I do. They have
Nice.
fun. They have fun.
Nice.
So, for example, like the Illy Forever Disney
Mm-hmm.
dolls that came out a
Mm-hmm.
few months back, I let them because I was careful. I said, okay, I'm tempted to get all of them, but I don't want to do that. So I asked the girls, which ones do you like? And then one of Big Sis was in one of the reels with me with one of the dolls. So then they have, and they tell me, said, well, tell me something specific that you like, because it just helps them with their articulation. Oh, I really
Mm-hmm.
like her curly hair. Oh, mommy, look at this denim jacket with the flowers. And so I like to hear their tastes come out,
That's so
through.
cool. I
Yes.
love it. That's great. Yeah, I'm a boy mom. So, I got two
Mm-hmm.
boys and they weren't not too much into dolls or anything, more like graphic arts, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So I have to live vicariously through everybody else plays with dolls.
Uh-huh.
So,
That's right.
uh, so when you started creating, when you first started doing your show, were you creating dioramas then, or was diorama something that was introduced later? And how I guess I want to know is like what is the process for you designing
Yeah.
dioramas?
I love your questions. They're so thoughtful.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
no, I wasn't, but I always liked the idea and was always drawn to dioramas. If I would go
Oh wow,
to
yeah.
even kids doing projects in school, I don't think I ever had a project in school, but my sister, she's just a couple years younger than me. She had a diorama project, and I basically did it for her
Oh nice.
because I had so much fun applying the sand and finding
Mm-hmm.
leaves. And I was like, oh, you could use my little dolls with it. So I always knew in the back of my head, a little intimidated, I'll be honest. I don't know. Do I need to have carpentry skills? And so I backed away from that.
I literally
Right.
was just gonna ask you what was your challenges that you had creating them
Yes.
too, because I'm sure
Yeah.
there probably was some.
There were, right? So that's not so much in my wheelhouse. So I get back
Mm,
to what skills are kind of in my arsenal that I can lean into, and what skills may or may not be something I want to learn in the future.
mm.
So
Oh,
I
that's
don't
good. I
know
like
that
that.
carpentry is one of those things, and that's okay. So I could maybe link up with someone who's into it. My mom likes to do things like that. So if I wanted something specific, I could tap into this wonderful community of talented people that we have. So I thought, I know how to work a glue stick. I know how to cut poster board because I used to have to do fashion design mood boards and things like that. So I started with that, and I had lots of knick-knack. My grandma always called them little knickknacks,
Yes.
bric-a-brac, little miniature items. And so I like to reimagine items like when I go to the thrift store. So that's where the sustainability piece comes from me. So yes, I buy new things. Yes, I'll buy things that already exist that we keep in the ecosystem from sellers on marketplaces, right? Dolls that are or doll houses and things like that. So I started to just see something like a jewelry box and I'm like, oh, that could be a Barbie dresser.
Oh,
So that
cool.
taps into something in my brain, just like is so excited and elated when I find those kind of things. So now my mom looks for things like that. I've got a couple friends that, hey, could you use this?
Hmm.
And I'll use jewelry that can be kind of miniature things on an like a mantle. So I would say I got into dioramas as the more I started to create. So little by little, even
Okay.
if I would stay up maybe for a few hours and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I like how this looks, but I would push myself to at least finish. Okay, you painted the
Hmm.
refrigerator. What does the other parts of the kitchen look like? And that to me, it's really fulfilling because it taps into that creative side. So I want to continue to do that more dioramas and do that even more. And there's even nooks and crannies around the house. Even my husband will be like, "Okay, I like your doll stuff, but don't put it in my office. You have the dollway, which is a hallway outside of this like
That is
office
hilarious. The dollway. That's great. I
dollway,
love it. I love it.
so it's like leverage your space the best
Yes.
you can. So I want to continue. I want to continue to learn. There's a few things kind of in my on my bucket list, I would say,
Okay.
that I want to continue to lean into. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Very
Yeah.
cool. So I know the other part that I do love. I love everything that you do. I really do.
Oh,
But I love the
thanks.
dressing up of the dolls and yourself, right? I know you said how it got started. Um, but how do you come up with the ideas, I guess, and also the other fashions, that you, if
Mhm.
you see something and say, oh, I have that, and I think my doll has a purple outfit. Like how does that work? Does the doll come first and then you, or do you come first and then the doll?
Yes, I would say it's probably a 70-30 split. So
Okay.
70 leaning into what the doll has.
Oh wow.
So I might
I wouldn't have expected that. I really
see.
would have thought that it was like, this is what I'm gonna wear and let me see what the doll has.
Mm-hmm.
That's so
Isn't that a
interesting.
trip? Isn't that a trip?
Wow.
I'm like following the
Yeah.
doll. So I'll say, okay, I'm feeling like animal print. Okay, what do I have that's animal print? So I don't know if you saw one. I did, I wrapped my daughter's animal print headband, those cute little fabric headband that kids wear. I wrapped that around her. I knew I had an animal print head. So then I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let me see if I have an animal print headband. And then the way I wrapped it, I put it around her head. So then I found an animal print pillowcase at the thrift store. So then I made a funny reel that was like behind the scenes of that. And
That's
people were like, girl, you
awesome.
are a trip. And then I
That's
showed that
awesome.
myself putting a pillow in the pillowcase
That is awesome.
underneath.
I love the one you had when you were showing like all the little drawers. Like, every time you wanted something, you went into a little box. And I was like, oh
Yes.
my gosh, she's like so organized right now. Like every little box had like all the purchase, all the shoes, all the little, I was like, this is so cool. I love
I'm a
it.
work in progress. I'll be organized one minute and the next minute I'm like, where's my so I do try to get those little drawers of things, but yeah, I have so much fun. I do another thing on my list is to make. I've made a couple things, but it's been quick things that I've just kind of knit, hand sewn really quick, but I do want to make some more outfits for Minnie and I that I make with my hands. Yeah, that I
Minnie and
sew.
I. That's too
Mm-hmm.
cute. I cannot with the little Minnie and I. So adorable. Oh my goodness. So you also do unboxing. So I know that's gained like immense popularity in the dog collecting community. So
Yes.
um I guess my thing is, what do you find most exciting about that? And how do you get the dolls that you unbox? Do you contact other doll artists or just dolls that you particularly buy to do unboxings and stuff?
Yeah, so a couple brands, which has been great this year, it was my first time getting, well, no, maybe last year too, got a couple of dolls. Other ones I'm purchasing and it's kind of user generated content.
Okay.
It's what I want to share with the community. And I like that feeling of I think of what do I like when I watch an unboxing, whether it's on YouTube or all the other platforms. And I like the suspense and the excitement. And I like the feeling of joy that I see on the content creator as they're opening it. I'm
Yes.
waiting and I'm okay, what are and I know a lot of creators or some are starting to do more ASMR. My daughters like to do like the little nail tapping and things like that. So I'm always thinking about what am I excited about? What can I show and share? And so I
Hmm.
have some dolls just that I've purchased or my husband purchased as a gift, even for
Right.
my birthday a couple months ago that I'm still, or last month, that I'm still waiting. I was like, I want to open it, but then another truth moment. You bring out, do you bring out the truth in people, huh? Um, I would say is the being careful not to be a perfectionist. And
Mm.
so it's this back and forth of just do it, but then also I also want to continue to put quality content out there because
Hmm.
that's who I am. So I
Yes.
have to sometimes it's a fine line between waiting too long to post something because you want it to just be right. And then also the times where I've just done something real quick where I don't have any makeup on, I'm just wearing a
Hmm.
hoodie.
Right.
That
That's
can
so
those
cool. Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
resonates with people too, because it's like,
Yes,
oh,
it does.
she looks like she just woke up, and it's like, yeah, I did, and like just went for it because
Hmm.
I had it. So
Yeah.
I'm I think that's something that I want to continue to work on is being you,
Yes.
but also girl, you've been having that in a box for like a few months. Like, go ahead, like show the world. And if you're not ready yet, that's okay. But don't let it be because you're trying to make it, just perfect. So
Just
I do
perfect.
go
Yeah.
back. I've got my husband Sterling's voice in my mind. It's just like, just put it out there, go for it. So
Just do it. Just be
let's
you.
do
And
it.
I think that's really cool about, like you were saying, that sometimes you're made up. Sometimes you just have a hoodie on. You like, because I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of times when we do show up like that, it allows other people to say, well, I can show up like that. again, taking
Yes.
that away from like, oh my gosh, always have to look this way or always
Mm-hmm.
have to be this way. No, you just be,
Right.
that's just another facet of you, and so
Yes.
it allows other people to say, well, you know what, that's who I am and I want to show that. So I
Yes.
think
I
that's a
love
great
that.
a great opportunity, to be able to share that with other people so that they can see, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just about being you, and it's just,
Right.
and all the things that happen are just other facets of who you are. So and it's
Absolutely.
all pretty cool. So I
Yes.
know you're a mom, you have a retail job, I mean your corporate job, you do all of these things. So how do you balance your time between, doll collecting, creating content, and other aspects of your life? Because I think a lot of times when people see these things, they think, oh, it just happens. It doesn't just happen. It's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
preparation for that. And so, yeah, just share with us, how do you balance that? And maybe if you have some tips on how you do that, that'd be helpful for whoever
Yes, it's
listening.
a struggle. It really is a struggle. So
Struggle is
what
real, right?
the struggle is real. That's the theme, huh? So what I'm working on doing is I just got an iPad because I was doing a lot of stuff on my phone
Okay.
and sometimes stuff on my laptop. And then my sister-in-law who creates content was like, you need an iPad. I can't believe you're doing all these things. And I had one back in the day, and then I was like, no, I'm okay. The kids kind of they took it and started using it. So I said, okay, I want to start fresh. And so I've just started creating a content calendar, which has just been great. So it's kind of a brain dump of ideas.
Oh,
Maybe
that's
there's
good. Mm-hmm.
music that comes to mind because it will take me a long time sometimes. I can edit pretty quickly, but the music, I want to have the right sound. So I just started putting my ideas there. I also started adding, it's just something I do in Google Docs so that I can use it on my phone. I can also use it on my laptop if I want. And then I also have, maybe there's community events. There's some
Nice.
great folks in the doll community that keep calendars for us of the
Mm-hmm.
upcoming events. So I'm like, okay, and I can't participate. I want to participate in everything. I just don't always have the time. So I try to think about, okay, what can I do? That hashtag is coming up, but that event is coming up. And so I try to batch content on the weekends or in the evening. So what that means is just, maybe I've gotten an idea for 2 reels and 2 photo shoots. I can do them in one day. I might change my clothes, my jewelry, my hair, so that it
Mm-hmm.
looks like I did it different times. I did that a couple weeks with some reels, and it was so much fun. And the girls are like, "Why are you changing?" And I said, "I want it to look like it's a different day." So they laughed. They said, "Oh, I bet a lot of people will do that." And then sometimes maybe I don't. Maybe it's the same thing I have on. That's okay
Mm-hmm.
too. So I've started to do that. Because I will save a lot of sounds or ideas in Instagram, and then they get lost, or I'm not doing anything with
Okay.
them.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, and sometimes I just go old school analog. I also have like a little notebook that I'll just write ideas
Right,
in.
right.
But at
Okay.
least with digital, I can kind of copy and paste things over as I see it in real
Right. It
time. I
makes
want
it
to use this
easier.
sound.
Mm-hmm.
It really does.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. And then just have those boundaries, whenever, another truth serum moment. Another, my daughter, a couple weeks ago was like, you're on your phone.
Oh yeah. Kids will tell you
They
that. And then
will.
there's that guilt. Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh. I
Yeah.
said, okay. And
Yeah.
then we just played outside, took a walk. So
Yeah.
I want to they know. I love that they see mommy doing something that she really enjoys. I also want to see them seeing mommy have boundaries,
Yes.
right?
Exactly.
And
Yes.
so, okay, I'll do this
Yeah.
for an hour and then we're gonna play. So, but I do enjoy it, and it's a good reprieve from the things that I do day to day, whether I'm like steeped in Excel spreadsheets. It's a nice way for me at the end of the day when I shut down. I do reels like that sometimes. Okay, I'm shutting down and I'm making time to play. So I think it's an ongoing balance.
Yeah, it is. And then you're balancing, especially, when you're a parent. I'm not just going to say mom, because I mean, dads are, parents too. We know that. But when you're a parent and you are doing things that you really like, sometimes times can get away from you. And so,
Yes.
I mean, I think it's important though. And I think that's pretty cool that that your child says, hey, what about me? Or, hey, you're spending too
Mm-hmm.
much time, because sometimes we don't realize
We don't.
that that happens. And
Mm-hmm.
kudos for her for saying that to you, because,
Yes.
it just allows you then to stop and think, oh, okay, I need to spend more time here. It's
Yes,
great for me to do what
absolutely.
it is that I do, but they need that time as well. So I think
Yes,
that's pretty neat. But yeah, you
absolutely.
definitely so you did say you use a content calendar.
I
So
do. I
that's
do.
really helpful.
So
Okay,
that's
so
really helpful. Content
hmm
calendar, I would say batching. So
hmm
maybe if I know I have a busy week coming up or I'm traveling for my job, I can do some things ahead of time. Maybe I'm doing, a carousel of images, then I'm
okay.
going to do a video, but I want to do
hmm
behind the scenes. So I at least have in mind, how do I also want to link up when I'm putting on my feed to my stories? Because I have a lot of fun
Okay.
in the stories too. So people, I like to take people along with me, kind of behind the scenes, or even like funny moments. Maybe my doll fell while I was I was
That's funny.
filming. So that kind of brings that human
Yeah,
element,
yeah,
that I
that's
think is
true.
is is fun to show too. Hmm.
So what's been the most unexpected thing or surprising, I guess, thing about being a doll collector and content creator that surprised you? Because sometimes,
Yeah,
you're not in the doll space. When you go into the doll space, I think there's a lot of things that you think, oh, it's this way. And then when you get into it, you're like, oh, it's not that way. This is something totally different. Like, or you don't think, oh, I'm just going to do this little video. And then all of a sudden it's like, everybody's watching it. Like, so
right.
what surprised you and was unexpected about being a doll collector and a content creator?
Yes, I think the building of the community and what collectors, content creators can relate to. That's been fun. Like the goofiest things I've kind of put out there have sometimes resonated the most. And so I just say, you know what, I'm just going to be me and put it out there. And I love the comments when people are kind of sharing, like, I can relate, or a
Uh-huh.
funny story. And even sometimes some of the touching moments, if someone shares, like, oh, I maybe one of my parents or someone in my life
Mm-hmm.
gave all my dolls away because they said I was getting too old
Too
to
old,
play with
yeah.
them,
Yeah.
so things like that. So I do remember real quick, in high school, I was probably, yeah, 17, and I had my vintage Barbie Dream house, that A-frame house, the orange and yellow one, in the garage. And I would just play. That would be my quiet corner, and I would
Mm-hmm.
play. And my mom's boyfriend at the time was over at the house, and I heard him say, "Isn't she too old? It's time to give those dolls away. She's too old to play." And my mom, I couldn't see her, but I could imagine like her neck was rolling as she talked to him. And she said, my daughter loves that. Like, leave
Mm-hmm.
her alone. That's her thing. We all should have something that we enjoy
Yep,
doing.
that's the truth.
And I was like, oh, I love my mom for that. So I knew when I went off to college, I was like, she's gonna keep my dolls like in good care. And she
Yeah.
sure did for me. So building up the community, sparking joy, I think I like to do that really wherever I go, is just to make someone's day a little bit brighter. And I can do that through twinning or relatable video or something silly. I'm happy to do that.
That's very cool. Yeah. I mean, I really do just love your show. I think it's just so it's like it's what it's like. This is funny. It's like a doll variety show. It's like a you know
I
what I
like
mean?
that. I
Because
like
you have
that.
so many different little elements that bring everything together. It's just not
Yes.
one thing. It's just not like, oh, I'm just doing unboxing videos or I'm just doing
Right.
dioramas. There's so many things happening within that,
Mm-hmm.
within what you do. So I do love that. But
Yes.
so let me ask you, in the doll community, have you been to doll shows and have you connected with other doll people in the community and collaborated with them in any way?
Yeah, so that's been great too. So I work from home. And so there's a lot of benefits to it, especially being a parent, the flexibility, but it can be isolating at times too,
Mm-hmm.
where I literally am just talking to the dolls like in my room. So what I appreciate is a
Cassie
few
and her
people,
dolls.
right? Cassie and her dolls. I get nervous if they talk back, but they don't. But so a few people in the community reached out to me over the past couple years, like, let's meet up. They're here in
Nice.
Southern California, so I've been able to, if it's going out to lunch or doing a photo shoot. And that's actually been a surprise, to answer your earlier question,
Mm-hmm.
that in-person community too, right? There's the virtual, but then there's also
Yes.
that is wonderful. And then I look forward to seeing them like at Sherry's Doll Show. That's in Orange County a few times a year. That's coming up next
Nice.
month. So that's a great way. I did go to the Barbie convention. I know that's happening right now in Florida. Not going this year, had some other commitments, but went last year in Chicago, and hope to go next year. I believe it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be in Palm Springs. So it's like a reunion.
Yeah.
When you see
Yeah.
people, it's just like the hugs and the laughter and the lightness. And, oh, what are you here for? Are you looking for
Hmm.
a particular product? And so there's the building of community, which I think is
Yes.
so important, especially
Yeah.
coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember when I had to go to New York. My mom wasn't feeling too good. She has passed away since then, but I had to go to New York to help take care of her, and I got an opportunity to meet Mel Odom. I mean, I had been like wanting to meet him forever,
Yes.
being in the doll community. And since he had been on the show, we have been contacting back and forth, and I knew he lived in the city, and I was like, and
Mhm.
I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, can I say, hey, can I, can we meet up, and he was so nice. I mean, he was like, sure. We had lunch together. I
Yes.
got to meet, I think, Mike Buse. I think he does Fabiola. And again, like you were saying, just being in a doll community and getting to meet those people that create these dolls or
Hmm.
in that space, I think it's just
Right.
it's so fulfilling. It's kind of like you have something in common. You want to connect with somebody that understands what you're about. So
Absolutely.
so that's great. I'm glad you got an opportunity to do that, and that you do go to expos and shows, because I'm sure that helps you in creating other things when you come back home as well.
It does. It does.
Hmm.
It's kind of
Hmm.
like, oh, look what I got, and it's kind of a way to take people along with you.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's
that's a
true.
fun way, that connection.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
true.
great to
So,
build.
so what do you plan on, like, how are you planning on expanding your show? I really would like to know a little bit more about what you plan on doing
I
with
love that you
Dolls on the
call it,
Scene.
yes. I love that you call it a show because it feels like that. You're right, like different elements. I really, that resonates. So I would like to, I'm gonna put it out there. I would
Go
like to, and
ahead.
I've started before and I haven't finished creating it, but I would like to do YouTube. I literally was just talking to someone yesterday about it. I think I need to figure out the time and how I can do that, but I
Hmm.
really would like to connect in that way. I feel like, okay, I've got the creation down. I used to have a YouTube channel before for
Okay.
fashion.
Okay.
So at some point I would like to kind of push the button on that. And even you reaching out to me, and I was watching, some of your shows. I'll take a pause real quick and tell you too, the joy that and the love that you have is palpable, and I really
Oh,
enjoy your show, watching and listening. I'll talk to I'll play it while I'm working,
oh,
and
thank
so
you.
that's
Oh,
encouraging that you're walking in. You said, hey, that's something I like to do, let me go ahead and express myself in that way. So that even seeing that, that's an encouragement and motivation for me. So I would say that's the next piece of what I would like to do. And continue to create content for various dolls. As I mentioned, I do appreciate the people of color, and it's wonderful to
yes.
see
Yes.
dolls who look like you. But I'm also open to all the different dolls and all the varieties that they come
So
in,
many. Woo, so
so
many.
many options. So I want to continue to learn more and support. So yeah.
That's so cool. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
I
conversation.
really do love what I do, and it's so funny. And I mean, like everybody, we have all different facets of our business, and I do a lot of other different things. And everybody will say to me, "So, what are you going to do with that doll show? Like, what are you going to, because they?" And I'm like, "Well, we're going to keep going. I don't. There's still so many people to talk to, and
Yes.
so many opportunities to share your stories with other people, and that's what I
Hmm.
love about it, because I think people don't, when I say I have a doll show, they're like, oh, but and when I say, hey, you need to see this show, you need to see this person, you need to find out about what they're just surprised at the vastness of the doll community
That's
and the
right.
people who are in there,
Yes.
and I'm so happy that you're part of that. I'm so happy I get to
Yes.
see your shows and your beautiful light
Mm,
that you share with everybody,
thank
and the
you.
happiness that you bring, because you're happy doing what it is that you do. And so I
Yes.
want to thank you for that too, because
Yeah.
you have a great, I love watching you. I love your show, and I
Thank
just
you.
love what you bring to the table in the doll community. So thank you for
Appreciate
that.
that.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate that. Yes. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad. There was a time where I did feel like, oh, that's just for kids. I don't want to do it. And then my mom, every so many years she would say, I still have your dolls, I still have your stuff, I'm waiting for you. So
Yeah,
yes,
she kept them for 20 years, right?
she
So
did. She
yeah, I was
did.
reading the bio and I was like, wow, that's a long time. I mean, and the fact that she gave them back to you and that you had opportunity to just live that all over again, and that's what you
Yes.
expressed with us. So that's so cool. Yeah.
Yes,
I love it.
absolutely.
I absolutely love it. So you're going to be expanding. You want to go to YouTube. That is wonderful. Do you think that you're going to put another element into your show, or you're just going to leave it like where it's at with just the dioramas and the twinning and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm still kind
Mm-hmm.
of thinking through that. I think it would be nice to have another layer. And I was on TikTok a couple years ago, then I got off and then I got back on, and that's slow moving, but that's okay. So I am trying to figure out, should I have something slightly different for each
Oh yeah, for each
channel,
thing.
and
Okay.
or
Yeah.
do I have some of the same? I like that kind of through line
Yes,
of
me too.
the joy and the happiness and then elements of the twinning. So I
Mm-hmm.
need to brainstorm some more about that. I would like to do like little mini episodes or something, but time,
Again, balance, time,
balance, time. So maybe not
life.
right now. Right. Hashtag life.
Hashtag
Um,
life.
so I need to prioritize. So maybe it is kind of repurposing what I have and then,
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
evolving.
yeah, yeah. I think so too. Because I think
Yeah.
once you get on the YouTube community, I mean, whatever you have, there's people in YouTube community and don't know about you either. So you
True,
can always
true.
repurpose what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just to
it's a
get
great
people
point.
interested. So yeah,
Yeah. And then kind
that's
of
so
evolve.
cool.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks
Um,
for that. I like that tip.
oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. So I'm gonna ask you one more question. I know this is kind of like saying like who's your favorite child because we know they're all favorites, right? So, but which element do you like best, or out of all the elements that you do within your show, is there one that stands out more? You have more fun with, or they're all kind of equal?
Yeah, I think the twinning would have to be one of the highlights because it's just fun and it's
Mm-hmm.
silly. Like if I sometimes I'll repost on my other account where I have like, friends from college, a couple coworkers, like family, all that. And they're like, girl, this like it, but it makes them laugh. Like, this is so silly. But then they'll send me articles and things about Barbie. Some people have sent me dolls or maybe childhood things that they played with. So
That's so cool.
I think there's a delight, and that's probably why I think the movie's probably gonna the upcoming Barbie movie is gonna
Mm-hmm.
do so well.
Yes.
There's nostalgia attached to
Mm-hmm.
it, whether you played with Barbies, were into them or not.
Right.
There's that you knew someone who was.
Mm-hmm.
You saw them
Exactly.
in the store in Toys R Us and KB stores and all the other
Yeah,
places.
exactly.
So
Exactly. And
um,
even a lot of times, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
no,
Even a
no,
lot
that's
of
okay.
times when you couldn't afford a Barbie and you had a doll, it was still a Barbie for you. You know what I mean?
Yes, it
So
sure
you still
was.
like,
Yes,
hey,
it's
it's a
this is
Barbie. Like
Barbie.
this is Barbie
Yeah,
anyway.
right. I got it from the dollar store, but this is Barbie.
Right,
Right.
exactly. So they still have that reference. That's still that desire to just want to see that.
Yes, it's
So
so true. Yeah, people
yeah,
will call all fashion dolls
right.
Barbie, kind of
Exactly.
like
They do.
tissue, facial tissue. They'll call Kleenex. So,
Exactly. Exactly. That
mhm.
is so true.
That's true. I would have to say the twinning, and then
Hmm.
second to that would be when my family come, like when I incorporate them into the videos, into
Oh,
my
that's so
hobby.
cute.
Just
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you. Well, thank you so much, Cassie, for just spending time with me on In the Doll World. It's been
My
wonderful to meet
pleasure.
you. It's just been wonderful to find out about your journey and to see where you're going with dolls on the scene. I think you're doing great, doing beautiful work, and again, I just want to thank you for being in the doll community, sharing that with us.
Yes, thank you so much, and for your show and highlighting so many wonderful people in the community. Really appreciate it. Thank you,
Like
Georgette.
you. You're so welcome. Okay, hon. Thank you. You have a beautiful day. Thank you, everybody, for joining me on In the Doll World. I'm so excited that you joined me today. Thank you again, Cassie, for being on In the Doll World with me. And if anybody wants to check us out, you can just go to our website, inthedollworld.com. Also, please leave a review there because it really helps us. It really helps the show and helps other people who are visiting the site to see that listeners are really enjoying what we do and the people that we interview. So you can just go to In the Doll World, click on reviews, and leave a review for In the Doll World. Thank you guys again so much for being with us. I will see you guys next week. Thank you, Cassie. Bye.
Thank you.
You're
Bye.
welcome.